Hey guys, welcome back to the Back and Body Hurts podcast, where we dive into all things EDM. Thanks for tuning in this week. I'm your host for this week, Sunny, and you can see we got a full panel today. And in this week's episode, I am pleased to welcome a true local legend who has helped shape our scene through events, community, and deep love for dance music since 2009. Joining us is Oz, founder of Ozmozis.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming, guys. So, just a brief intro. At the core of Ozmozis event is a simple but powerful idea, connecting people through music and building genuine community. That philosophy doesn't stop with the dance floor, but also with the Oz team itself. So speaking about the team, we have Anni and Jenn joining us today too from the Oz team, who have been with Oz for probably a decade or more.
For too long.
Too long. How many? Who's counting anyways?
We have Vaughn joining us at the end of the panel. So Vaughn is a local spinning progressive house with this perspective as an attendee. How's 2025 for you guys?
It's been great. I think 2025 was more of a transitional year for us, especially coming out of COVID. Everything was unpredictable, and
the Oz brand is very well known. You know what you're expecting when you go to an Ozmozis event, which is something you guys, it doesn't happen overnight. It's happened, as I said, you guys have been here for a decade for working with Oz. Obviously, that's taken over time, but you have a loyal community and following. You've been around for a long time, Oz.
I guess I'm.
And you probably have a lot.
I'm
of
an
cool
old
stories. You probably have a lot of cool stories as well.
I'm in my 40s now, so getting there. I still feel like a 25.
Look good.
Party like a 25.
You look good.
Thanks.
Good.
I appreciate that. Thanks. It's all the party.
We always say raving keeps you young.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. All the music and dancing and good vibes. That's at the end of the day. I'm gonna tell you a funny story. I was in Miami in 2010. There was a guy named Hernan Cataneo, and he was there on the dance floor, and I saw him, and I went right up to him. I said, Hernan, I'm gonna book you one day. Turns around to me, he says, well, he knew my name at the time because all the other DJs were telling him, you got to play for this guy, Oz. Turns around and says, Oz, hits me on the shoulder, and he says, patience. So come on. From that day, that stuck with me like crazy. Yeah. And behold, a year later, we ended up booking him and working together with Footwork. I mean, again, we're all ravers, so we all come from a raver background. And we were just in Japan, and just randomly some guy that was with he had gloves on, the LED gloves. I'm like, give me those. I took it from him, and there's a video of me gloving, and it was just the funniest thing ever.
But that's the thing. The heart is still, we're all ravers.
Of course,
in the end, no matter what we do,
of course.
You're a media person, you're an artist, you're still a raver at heart. How did the logo ever come about? Because I love the logo.
So yeah,
it's iconic. To me,
do you like this logo? So it's funny enough, we went through multiple different logos over the years.
Yeah.
So this logo has evolved, but I believe even for the ladies, this is your favorite.
It's my favorite.
It's the OG.
It's the OG panda.
Funny enough, I made it, and yeah, it's definitely part of me. So as you can see, it's on my arm.
It's so funny because there's that random
funny story from this is I was in Amsterdam in 2017, I believe, of summer. I went to go see We Are Lost there. Yeah. But after the event, it was 7 a.m. in the morning, and I was just kind of walking around and looking for something to do, and walking by a random tattoo shop. This rocker guy with long hair was like, hey, need a tattoo? I was like, you know what, man? I kind of do, actually. And I was going through a really tough time at the time with just life, and yeah, honestly, I got this tattoo to remind me to never forget where I started. The idea, it's the name actually itself, obviously, was just really random. I was trying to think of names my first two letters, obviously Oz. I was trying to just come up with something catchy, and
I always spell Ozmozis wrong.
Everybody does. I even did.
I think he did today too.
Everybody does. Everybody does.
Even when we were working on this together, it's just the amount of times I went back, I'm like, oh, it's spelt wrong all year.
Everybody has. A funny thing about that is everybody does, and we're so used to it. But even in Google, I look at our Google searches, most of the searches are spelled wrong, but they still show up in the Google search because everyone's so used to spelling it that way.
Or even just trying to get EMTs for tickets, and everyone spells Ozmozis wrong when they're sending out.
That's going to the wrong email. But yeah, I know, and Ozmozis, water filtration, science geek, and all that stuff. So and it was catchy, and you'd be surprised how many people don't actually make the two connections. I'll be at an event and someone will be talking to me and oh yeah, oh, you're running the event, cool, man, what's your name? I'll be Oz, and 5 minutes into the conversation goes, and it's like, wait a minute, are you Oz of Osmosis? Happens.
I'm surprised
I wonder
actually.
what's so funny. It's like I've traveled so many times where like I'm in New York, or even when I was at EDC in Vegas, and so many people know who you are. They'll be like, "Oh, like I'm from Toronto and I work for Osmosis," and they're like, "Oh, Oz is doing great events, like trans, progressive, and so forth."
Oh yeah, we do have definitely international presence, and
Yeah.
and you know,
As I said, the presence is felt around the community.
so I had this panda head that was
Yeah.
just sitting around, and I had a friend I was just sitting in a hot tub one day, and I had a friend mention, hey, you know, you have that panda head. Why don't you make it into a logo? So I was like, oh, I mean, why don't you make it your mascot? That's how the idea came about, and I ended up creating this logo, and it caught on. It was very, very catchy after that. And we had this panda head that was a mascot that would come out at the parties. So imagine you're just like raving, and next thing you know,
I haven't
there's
seen that in a while.
Got
yeah,
stolen.
it didn't really get stolen, I would say, but
I have one.
Oh,
It's
Maybe-
just that
maybe-
I have one too at home. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, so everyone has one except for me. I do not have
Maybe
one.
it'll make an appearance.
And somebody just brought me slippers to wear, and they're giant panda heads.
Aw.
You always have to plan so far in advance.
Yeah.
I know people thinking like a year out.
Well,
from
no,
now,
I was just
looking
telling
to-
him we're already starting to plan next year,
It's curious.
2027.
Yeah,
So the
We want to
best-
try to get ahead, right? So
yeah, you have to. Many years. What's been the biggest challenges you face?
they're gonna say the biggest challenge has been me.
Dun, dun.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I was gonna say,
Don't worry.
Remember when we did that cottage party? You were.
Oh yeah, the Osmosis cottage party. That was
where I
really,
had to-
really funny.
Where you know one of our promoters greened out and had to save his life. Stick my fingers down his throat, and he had him puke all over me. But
Good friend.
Chauncey, I love you, buddy.
Yeah,
but
I was like not helping. I was just sitting on the couch and I'm like, what do I do?
well, how about the time Jenn left me in Montreal?
Oh yeah.
She left you?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, like
They
I
went to
didn't
the
like
airport and
literally
everything.
leave him. I just forgot about him.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, they forgot about me, right?
yeah, no.
They called me from the airport.
I know. We were flying back from Montreal back to Toronto.
Who do we go see?
It was for the Trans Unity event.
Okay,
So,
Oh yeah, okay.
which is
Great
pretty
party.
much all the trans DJ Oz has ever booked. But Oz's only request is like, hey, wake me up before to remind, like when we're
Before
leaving
you go
for
to
the
the
airport.
airport.
And I was sitting on the plane and I was like, I'm forgetting something. Like I could not figure out what it was.
You're
and
on
as
the plane.
The plane is taking off. I look at my friend Nyanki and I was like, oh my God, we forgot Oz. And he was like, what do you mean? I'm like, we didn't wake him up. He's not on the plane. Like
The story doesn't end there.
I know. And it's just like, so like, I like messaged Oz when we get back to Toronto and I'm like, I'm so sorry. He got so drunk at the airport that they wouldn't let him on the next flight. So he
I had to go back to the hotel and stay another night in Montreal.
and then we were
I wasn't
like,
causing.
well,
I
you
wasn't
know,
causing too much problems. I was just
But
really drunk.
this-
They don't know this story, but goes back to like Vola time. It was wild, man. This DJ destroyed the whole hotel room that we booked. And make sure you tell the person getting the bananas not to bring green
Green ones,
bananas,
yeah.
yellow ones only.
Yeah.
Because it was a funny. Hernan and Guy J were playing back to back at Nest, and Hernan was like, "Oh, I need a banana." So we sent out one of our promoters to go get a banana. He brings back like
The
a stack of
greenest-
green
Oh,
bananas,
the
and Hernan's like,
greenest
"What am I
bananas.
supposed to do with this? Take it home?" That there's a lot of people in this industry are self-motivated, and their self-interest and egos take over. So and we're more about the community and the vibe.
I think one of the biggest things I've learned, especially working with Oz for a long time, is that it's natural to like hold on to like those great nostalgic memories and, you know, talk about the good old days and things like that. But it's really important that you learn to adapt with where the scene is and where the environments are and where technology is. Like,
Any funny riders you've received over the years?
We had a request for a bulletproof car.
Oh, wait, what? Really?
yeah. It was the weirdest request. But you know, I think why they put that in there is that they were trying to make sure that you're actually reading the contract.
yeah. To be
Slick.
fair, a lot of the DJs at Oz books in particular are like quite seasoned. A lot of the progressive DJs don't even drink. Like
Yeah.
their riders is
Well, you
coconut
mentioned
water.
banana. They just
but-
want a banana.
I,
You
I
know
don't know
what?
what it is, but like I think almost 100% of the DJs Oz books there's bananas, and I despise
the
bananas.
energy.
Like the smell of bananas I
going.
think is horrible, and every event I have to go hunt down bananas, and it's like excruciating for me.
Slip
and
on
you have
the
to
peel.
like think about.
Yeah,
can't
like
get
I
it
just
too
like,
green. It
and
has to
then
be just-
I'll be like my backpack smells like bananas now. Like it's
But
yeah.
you know, we don't have like demanding artists. They've all been so super like chill and like easy. But one thing's for sure is like we don't like missing anything from the writer. So
Yeah.
if there's like
Yeah.
even like we were doing Kosh one time at Opera House, and like he had a request for a black T-shirt on his his rider. And he's like downstairs in the green room. He's like, man, I've had this rider for like 10 years and no one's got me this black shirt.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, straight up. He's
I
like,
know.
no promoter has done this to me
He
yet, and I've
always
had
wears
this
a
black shirt.
Now that you remember it, because
Yeah.
he was just here.
Yeah.
He was like, wow, like, so those are the little things that matter. I remember
Yeah,
when
that was the best time ever.
Avicii played at Government at the Sky Bar, and it was like one of the last shows there, and it was like 7 a.m. in the morning, and the sun was rising. We were just like, and then I drove him back to his hotel room in my like old 1996 LeSabre in my front seat, and like there's some amazing memories. Like that era was a great. At the end of the day, we really want to build something where it's become a destination for people to attend. So not just people locally, but people from Canada, United States, Europe. Last year for the August show, we've had people. Somebody came from Sweden.
Yeah.
We had a group of 25 people come from Ohio. Like, so people
Oh.
are starting to like travel for these events.
I appreciate this conversation. I learned a lot from you guys.
Thank you.
Vaughn
Thank
as
you
well.
for so
Thanks
much
for
for having
having
us.
us.
Thanks for
and-
Yeah.
coming on. This was great. We appreciate this episode, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Thank you. Thank you for
Bye.
having
Bye.
us.